Hi folks, it's Chris, back again to do another little scratch lesson. This time, we're going to make a little side scroller. In the basketball game, we moved the cat around the screen and the background stayed the same and all the sort of characters stayed that way. And you could tell you were moving the cat because it moved around in the little virtual area. Today, we're going to try flipping that a little bit so that we're going to move the background or things in the background without moving the cat that much, but it'll give the feeling that the cat is moving. Sort of like when you are in the car looking out the window, you can see buildings or trees and lampposts and other cars moving by. And since you're in the car, you know you're moving, but you can imagine that if you were sitting still, it could be the whole world that's moving by your window instead of you moving through the world. We're going to try that second approach there where the whole world is moving around the cat instead of the cat moving around the world. All right, so first, let's start with a new project. And we're going to draw some things this lesson. But I'm not that good of a drawer, so they're going to be basic things, but you'll see it gets the job done. And I'm sure yours are going to look much better than mine. But that's good. I should just practice more, I guess, huh? I'm going to start with drawing the whole sky here as a background. And I'm going to use this fill bucket. And I'm going to pick a shade of blue that I like. And then I'll tap in here to fill the whole sky. Now, our cat can't walk on the sky. So let's get some grass down here. We'll pick a green for him to walk on. And so we pick a rectangle. And this would draw a hollow rectangle. And this draws a solid rectangle. So I want a solid rectangle here for drawing the grass. It actually seems a little too bright. Let's try a little darker one. You might like the bright one, and that's fine. Your artist preferences are maybe a little different than mine. I'm going to go with this one. And it's a little darker. And that's now the world our cat can walk on. So if I go back over here, move our cat down here. Now we look at the cat. It's got a couple of costumes. And all we have to do is switch between those costumes to try and see him animated. But I don't want to have to click it. So let's put in a loop. Whenever the green flag is clicked, forever, we want to just keep repeating the next costume. So if I go around, well, that's a little fast now. Switching costumes too fast. So to slow things down, we can put a wait statement in there. And now it's too slow. Okay, so what is between 0 seconds and 1 second? Well, we get fractions of seconds. So we can 0.5 is going to be half a second. It's a little bit faster, but probably not fast enough. 0.25, we're getting there. 0.15, that's a pretty good pace. 0.1, yeah. Okay, so we wait 1/10 of a second, and then we switch costumes. And now our cat's walking. Right? Well, it looks like he's walking, but we really can't tell if he's going past anything. And you sort of need something in the background to be going past to get the feeling that we're moving, right? If we had something in here that went across like this, it would look like we're moving. So let's try one of those. Let's draw a sprite now. Since we do the background, let's draw a sprite. I think we can put a little cloud up here. So we want a circle. We want a full circle, a filled in circle again. And we'll make it a little circle like that. And then just draw a couple of circles and have them, they don't have to be all the same, but just draw a couple of circles and move them around on top of each other till you create a little fluffy cloud. Right? All right. And that cloud's a little bit big, so I'll just shrink it down a little bit. Maybe it's too much shrinking. All right, so that's a cloud, and now we go into its scripts. And I think what I want to do is have the cloud start over here and move across as the cat is walking. So we go back. Same idea. When the green flag is clicked, we want to have our cloud move across. And I'm going to try a new motion block this time where we have go to, and it gets its current location of 291 and 66. So whenever the green flag is clicked, let's go there. Can I move it over even more? 301. Let's try 310 to try and get it as hidden from the screen as we can. And then I want to glide. Glide is to just glide across the screen from this where your current location is to your other location. I'm going to say negative 310. Positive X is on this side, negative X is over here. So it's going to go across the screen. And clouds go pretty slow. So instead of doing it in 1 second, let's try it in 60 seconds. If it takes a minute to go all the way across, what does that look like? Well, now the cloud's going across pretty slowly. It's going to take a whole minute to get there. But now it looks like our cat's moving. Right? Now our cat's walking. And we know that the further things are in the background, the further away they are, the slower they go. So the sun might move really, really slowly through the day. Clouds, you can see them in the wind sometimes, or when you're driving, you can see clouds come and go more than you see the sun. So this cloud is going this way. Like if we did leave it at just 1 second, let's try that. Shoo! That's fast. Right? So 60 seconds, takes a minute to go across the screen. And that lets us know, hey, we're moving. Kind of fast, kind of slow. Hard to tell exactly how fast we're going. Maybe we need something that's at the same distance away from the cat or from us in our viewpoint as the cat is, so we can get an idea how fast the cat is moving. And so if we put something on the ground, it's going to have to go faster than the cat is going, or the cloud is going, sorry, to make it look like we're going faster. So let's add another sprite. And this time, we have to find something on the ground that makes sense to have there. Not a donut, not a fruit platter, not a lamp, maybe a rock or rocks. Let's try these rocks. And now these guys are here. Let's shrink them down a little bit. And let's put them in Scratchcat's path. And we can use the same logic, the same rules that we had here for the cloud. Let's put them on the rocks. It's just that its values are going to be a little bit different. Instead of 66, right here you can see the rock has minus 110 as its Y value. And the Y value doesn't change because we're not going up and down. Like the cloud's Y value is 66. And so that's above the midpoint of the screen. And then since we're down below the midpoint, we're going to have a negative value for this rock. And so if we run this, we'll have the rock and the cloud going across the screen at the same speed. But that doesn't really make sense because the cloud's so much further away. So what if our rock was going a little bit faster? Well, now it looks like, yeah, now that makes sense, right? So we saw the cloud go across, and it's going slower than the rock is. But our rock just got here to the end and then didn't come back. Okay, so let's put this in a loop again. We'll forever do this. And now when it goes, the rock goes by faster. We walk behind it, goes over to the end, comes back again. All right, and we see it sort of bounces around there at the end. So maybe we don't go to 310, maybe we go to negative 300. So it gets there. Maybe we have to hide it for a little bit. when it gets to the end. So we hide it after we do that glide. Maybe we go to 290. We just want to hide a little bit sooner, 280. Oh, but then once we hide, we have to remember to always show ourselves. So we go there, glide, hide. Right? But it comes back instantly, which is a little strange too. So maybe we wait a second before it comes back. Right? Okay. And so now we've changed this a little bit. We want to add that back to our cloud. So our cloud is stuck over here again. So let's make the cloud repeat. Hide after we're done with our gliding. Show before we get to the beginning again, before we start gliding. And then wait a little bit. Just so the cloud doesn't come back immediately. So now our cat is walking around. Right? Feels a little more natural that the cat's moving through town that's got all these rocks. And so now we add some game aspects to it where maybe we shouldn't be touching the rock. Maybe we can't run behind the rock like this is, but maybe the rock is going to make us trip, right? So forever, go to the next costume, wait a second, and here's where things are going to get a little interesting. If we were to check whether we're touching the rock here, that would get in the way of us changing costumes, and we'd only also check every 1/10 of a second. We want to check all the time on our own, right? We don't want to have this little block of time where we're doing nothing before we check to see if we're touching the rock. That would make a little delay. What we can do is have our cat do a couple things at the same time. When the green flag is clicked, it will forever check to see if it's touching the rock. So we have here touching, and we can change that to rocks. So let's see if we're touching. We need to have the if statement. If we're touching the rocks, then I don't know, then we'll want to trip a little bit. So if we turn 15 degrees, what happens? Boom. That was interesting. While we were touching the rock, I guess we were touching the rock several times and we're tripping and falling. Okay, so that's kind of a cool effect. It kind of looks like we stumbled over the rock, right? So, but we want to have more control over that. Let's say if we're touching the rock, let's repeat 10 times that we're doing this. Oh no, our cat started off in the wrong direction. So when we start, we want to also make sure that we are facing the right direction. When the green flag is clicked, start facing the right direction. And now we're going to start spinning around crazy. Oh my goodness. So we could repeat it a few times, maybe 20 times. And then what we really want to do is sort of say the game is over, right? So if we're touching it, do that fall, and then just stop everything. Let's see if that works. Boom. I didn't really spin around enough. 20 times might not be enough. Let's go 60 times spinning around. That's a dramatic fall. Boom. Maybe we can say ouch. We can say ouch. All right. Oh, wow. All right. That's kind of a mess right there. So, this is almost a game. The only problem we have right now is that we're always hitting the rock. So what can we do? We want to be able to jump over this rock, right? So that's, again, where the cat wants to check to see whenever, I don't know, some key is pressed, what are we going to do? We're going to jump. So maybe it'll be the space bar is pressed. And we could add it into these things, checking if we're touching rocks or checking if we're hitting space bar. But we don't want to... We want to change our costume all the time. We want to always check if we're touching rocks. And we want to be able to jump at any time. So we might need to have a third when the green flag is clicked. This way, any one of these tasks doesn't get in the way of doing the other task. You can rub your belly, pat your head at the same time, and chew gum. We're adding chewing gum to this. So here, we want to forever check to see. So we have to have another if statement. Forever if. And here we can check to see if the key is pressed, and space is the default key. If the space key is pressed, this gets a little messy. Let's get a little more room here. If the space key is pressed, then we want to jump. So how can we jump? We'll probably want to change our y value. We do change y value by 10. That will move it. Oh man, maybe we should start off. We need to start off by having our cat in this location as well. So let's start off here. And now when we move our cat around, whenever we start the green flag, we'll go back to the same place. And your screen will probably have a little more space because you don't have as blown up as mine. I'm blowing mine up to make it easy for you to read. I'm going to move this aside for a little second so we can work on this part. When the green flag is clicked, if the space key is pressed, let's change our y value. And if we change it by 10, what's going to happen? Well, we're starting to jump. But there's also gravity. Well, there isn't gravity. But we should be using gravity. We can't just go up. We need to have our cat pulling itself down gradually too, right? So if we go and we change y by 10, eventually we have to change y by minus 10 to get back to the same space. And maybe if we jump, we can say, oh, let's wait a second in between. We need to jump higher than 10, don't we? All right. So what happens if we jump, and we jump by 100, and we change back to minus 100? What does that jump look like? Well, 100 is a good height, but it kind of happens too fast, doesn't it? It's like an instant jump. So instead of changing y by 100, maybe we'll change it by 10. But if we repeat that little part 10 times, and I don't want to repeat the whole thing. So, right, I put that repeat there, but then we have to move this back out a little bit. Then we'll go up a little bit slower. Oh, yeah. That looks a little bit better, right? So we go up a little bit slower, and we need to come back down. And I don't know if waiting a second really makes sense up there, but now that we're going a little bit slower, if we repeat 10 times, and we change y by minus 10, we'll come down slower too. Whoa, boom, boom. All right, so it's too fast to jump over the rock still, but we're looking a little bit better. Now, if we change our math, and this is where you guys think, I never use math later on in life. You always got to use math. And that's why that Math Minute application we were working on last time helps out a little bit. We want to go 100 pixels up. We could do it 10 times at 10 pixels each. Or if we want to go slower, let's do 20 commands. And then we would have to move how many pixels up each step. If we do it 20 times, we want each step to be 5 pixels. So that makes us jump slower because we have 20 things to do. We're still coming down super fast. So now we want to come down even slower. So what if I come down 50 times? Then I would have to come down at -2 steps per try. And so we jump up high and we come down slowly. Whoo! We avoided that rock, but just barely. Just barely. Oh, too much, right? So maybe we could have just a little bit of a weight at the top of our jump, which is going to be in between these two repeats. 1 second maybe was too long. Maybe we'll go with the same as a costume change up there. 1/10 of a second, just to help our cat stay up there. And so now it looks like our cat's walking when it jumps in the air. It's not changing. He is still changing costumes, so you're doing an air run or something. Maybe we can make that 0.2 seconds that you get a weight in the air. Oh, and if you miss it, you run into the rock, right? So here now we sort of have our little game where we have a rock. We have a cat that needs to avoid that rock. We got this cloud moving in the background very slowly. So it looks like our cat is walking faster because it's moving in the foreground. And we have an obstacle that we need to avoid. And as you've seen other games, they don't have just one obstacle to avoid. We might have another one. So let's see how tricky this game gets if we add another character. It's going to act a lot like the rocks, right? But maybe we should make it in the air. And that way when our cat is jumping, we have to both avoid things that are flying in the air and we have to avoid things on the ground. So let's go see if we can add a new sprite. Let's pick some sort of animal. What do we want to avoid? Let's see. Fishes, not really. Maybe a bat. I think a bat looks like a good example. Flying hippopotamus, good example. So pick something scary, or parrot. Not necessarily scary, but pick something you want to avoid. Shark, but they don't fly. I think I am going to go with... I was wondering if there was going to be a bee, but I don't see a bee. Bat or hippo. Bat or hippo. Bat or hippo. Hippo seems kind of funnier, right? Let's go with the hippo. So now there's this hippo, but he's facing the wrong way because we want him to come from the other side since our cat is walking that way. So what we can do is go into this info panel of this guy, change his direction to -90. And then go to this left-right orientation. And that makes it so, remember from the fish aquarium, we only turn left and right. And that gets him to spin around that way. Maybe shrink him down a little bit. All right. And then we can probably use the same logic that the rocks had, basically. I mean, we're going to change the location a little bit. So instead of -110, we look at this guy's value right now for his y values at 15. So we make that 15, this one 15, and we start it. And now the hippo and the rocks are coming at the same time. That's a little weird, right? We want them to come at different times. So how can we make the rocks and the hippos come at different times? Well, we put little delays in there for them. So let's see. And maybe the hippo goes slower. So if it goes slower, that means it's going to take longer to get across the screen. So we'll say maybe it goes 9 seconds to go across. And so that'll definitely slow things down a bit. So these guys aren't in sync. But there's this weight right here Oh, we fell. This wait is always a second. If we used a random number there, now they'll be sort of choosing, and they'll wait different amounts of time before they come back. And maybe we could duplicate this and do that right at the beginning too. So even before the hippo starts, we'll wait some random number of seconds before it comes out. And we can do the same with the rocks. And we'll duplicate that, which is a right click on the block you want to duplicate. And so now if we run it, uh-oh, our hippo should have been hidden. Maybe we have to do that. Huh? So our rocks and our hippo need to hide right away. And then they'll wait, and then they'll go to some location, then they'll show themselves, and they'll come across the screen slowly, then they'll hide again, wait for a while, go back to their starting location. All right, so now our cloud's coming around. We have to wait a little while for the hippo and the rock to come. Here comes the rock. Jump over the rock. Watch out for that hippo. Okay, we made it through, waiting for the rock to come back, waiting for the hippo to come back. The rock goes a little bit faster. Oh, I didn't jump high enough. And so there we go. Maybe we'll make the rock go a little bit faster so it's a little bit easier for me to jump over him. And, oh, well, we'll show it this time here. I don't think we're losing the game when we touch the hippo, right? We've only programmed it to worry about touching the rock. So I can jump up and touch the hippo and nothing happens. So now we need to say, when we're checking if we're touching the rocks, we need to say if we're touching the rocks or we're touching the hippo. Right? So I have this one, and we add the or to there, and then since touching not the mouse pointer, but we need to be touching hippo 1. So if we're touching hippo 1 or we're touching the rocks, then we're going to say ouch. So we know the rocks work. Let's check the hippo. Oucho! All right. This is looking better now. We have a hippo that we got to avoid. And now he came out before the rocks. So that was pretty good. She flies by. We don't have to do anything. Here come the rocks. Let's jump over them. Hippo's coming. And the clouds. You see the clouds in the distance. So the hippo's obviously going faster than the clouds. And the rock's going the fastest. So it's the closest to us. I guess with this, I don't really know how well I'm doing. So every game, sometimes, not every game, but most games need a score, right? Or some way to tell how well you're doing. How can we add score to this game? Well, we'll make a variable, of course, like we always do, score. But when would we give ourselves a point? We know that when this starts, we should set our score to 0. So let's always set our score to 0 whenever the green flag is clicked. But when do we get a point? Whenever we jump over a rock? Or whenever we duck under a hippo? It's really whenever the rock or the hippo gets to the other side. Then we get a point, right? So let's see if we can do that. The rock hides itself. We wait forever, goes across the screen, hides itself, and then waits a little bit again. That's just going to happen forever. So when it's hidden itself again here, that's when we get a point. So let's change the score by 1. And the same for the hippo. When the hippo gets all the way to the other side, let's change the score by 1. Let's see if that works out. Our score starts off as 0, which is good. Hippo goes flying by. Scratch Cat ducks to stay away from it. All right. We should get a point. We jump over the rock. We should have 2 points. That looks good. Uh-oh. It's going to be a tight fit. No. Well, I got 4 points because those guys made it to the end while I was falling. So maybe you always get a point or 2. I guess that's all right. Will be a positive game. Maybe Scratch Cat's a little bit big. Let's shrink Scratch Cat down a little bit. Now he can fit through more holes. And can try and avoid the rock and the hippo a little bit better. Oh, look at that. Fits through that hole. Might not have fit through that if we were a little bigger. So you have to play around with the size of your cat and the size of your characters just to make the game feel fun, challenging, but not too hard. Okay. I think this is a good example. We have some rocks flying by. We have a hippo. We learned how to draw some characters. We learned how to draw the background. And we learned how to do a couple different things at the same time with our cat scripts here that are, let me blow this out a little bit, pretty complicated in that it's done 3 things, or it's doing 3 things every time you hit the green flag. We're going to always change our costume. We're going to check to see if the space bar is pressed so we can jump. And we're going to check to see if we're touching the rocks or the hippo to see if we've lost the game. And our losing of the game has a little finishing touch here where we stumble and fall. Hopefully you had fun with this, and I know you can just go ahead and keep on adding more characters and more things to jump over and avoid, and more things flowing in the background. You could put a sun in, and the sun would go super slow across. Right? You can add all these little things to make this game a little bit more like you. And personality comes out through the game, and just customize it for your own interests. All right. Talk to you later.